specific to social stature, not animals, is not a justification for why we have to look to non-arbitrary. And second, bias is not always arbitrary. Animals are biologically different and specially different, which means that there's always a risk that we don't have biased animals. Now, go to the Rawls 2 argument. He says we need to look to the original position, but in order to look to the original position, we need to be able to reflect on our desires and determine what we actually want. But animals feel pain but lack the secondary capability of awareness of that pain, so they can't find things undesirable. This is on the flash drive. This severs the link from his framework to his offense because they cannot reflect on things. Murray and Ross. Non-human creatures lack any higher state of being aware of themselves. They know access to particular feelings, so as long as animals lack the higher access, so long as they represent the state of being pain, there's nothing about a situation that is of a trigger world. The sour creature of this sort of first pain, second order awareness of them, but they lack the capacity to regard their states as unviolent. Such creatures not suffer. Therefore, they cannot engage in the original position type, original types of evaluations of what type of morality or what type of decisions we should make because they do not have the ability to reflect on their desires. Now, go to the contentions. First, turn. The field of ignorance requires knowledge of distinguished features of species to come to a justice. This has two implications. A, I can show the internal link to his impression impact, which is the Clark evidence. B, the field of ignorance gates because we have to acknowledge the spatial difference between animals and humans. Humphreys, 08. For each sector, they have animals they need prior knowledge of themselves and specific prior knowledge of animals, species, specific creatures, and different animals, the non-basic interest of animals, decision and promote the well-being of one animal, the well-being of another, having no knowledge of interest of animals, would result in no fair decision. The contrary is just the case for Rawlsian. Justice should be rejected. The field of ignorance seems incoherent. 2. Turn field of ignorance and not mandate similar treatment of animals. Humphreys continues. The point of the field of ignorance is not that animals should be favored or biased in their estimation. Contract animals can be biased in favor of animals. They can be biased in favor of humans. Field of ignorance will not be coherent. Recognize the interest of animals should not lead to similar treatment taking into account animals' interests, and also lead to different features of animals and humans. This is also reason the shoe tries to extend the field of ignorance next speech as a reason for morality that is insufficient because it indicates that if the field of ignorance were to account for animals and allow animals to be given rights from the original position, then it would be an incoherent framework. So if he tries to go for his opposite conjunction with the framework, this then becomes a reason his framework is wrong. 3. Turn. The field of ignorance gates in order to give animal rights, we need to know specifics. Humphreys. For each detective, we have an animal, they need prior knowledge of themselves, specific prior knowledge of animals, decision that promote the well-being of one animal, and not promote the well-being of another, having no knowledge of the interest of animals, results in no fair decision. It is the case that Rawlsian justice in the field of ignorance seems to incoherent. This is a reason why, if he is winning, that means the non-arbitrary application of rules, the field of ignorance would be insufficient because we need to know the specific knowledge of animals in order to actually apply non-arbitrary things to them. Because there are special difference between animals, there's no intrinsic quality that would apply to all species. We cannot know what the well-being of one is versus the other, any sort of moral quality towards animals without knowing the specific instances. And turn. We need to recognize special difference to obtain equality of others. We don't know the other agent digits. Humphrey concludes. Rawlsian justice ignores difference. That's the below quality becomes unattainable decisions are made by the abstract prior knowledge of other beings or self-division made from knowledge of one interest. Knowledge of other things being interest can be inferred knowledge of the state when made of one to make extension laws makes decisions by individuals who have knowledge of themselves or other beings. What counts as justice based on assumption about justice being whatever rational autonomous creates the use by the theory of justice based on such justice risk being very unjust. That's how I negate. Yeah.
Okay. Ready to go?
Yeah.
What if people speak different languages?
What do you mean?
What if I speak English and you speak German?
That's not relevant.
Okay, so explain to me what
because we still have the ability to engage in linguistic interactions through social institutions.
Okay, so yada 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 yada. We're having linguistic, we're both talking, but there's no actual interaction occurring, right?
What do you mean?
Yada yada yada. We're not interacting, but there is still language occurring.
Well, I don't think yada 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 is language.
Okay, I don't speak another language, Noah, you got me. If I was speaking another language...
if you were speaking like French or something?
Yeah.
Right.
We're not, you don't understand what that says, but we still are
Well, the very fact that we're interacting in some sort of linguistic form, right?
Okay, so when we have languages and stuff,
when we have language and stuff...
One second, Noah. Okay. Why is the basis of interaction have to be in language then?
Are you asking for the warrants in Habermas?
No. I understand that Habermas is explaining why interaction is necessary. Why does interaction...
No, but it's not just interaction.
So yeah, so what is the mark for why
interaction?
Is interaction based on language?
What do you... Okay, you're misunderstanding the argument that Habermas is making. He says that in order to have a moral identity, in order to have rights and things like that, then we need to integrate ourselves in a community of interpersonal relations. Yeah. And he defines those interpersonal relations as when we render ourselves in need of protection and allow others to reciprocate rights upon us. Then he says that the only way we can do this, I've bolded this in the evidence, He says, a network of symmetrical relations of recognition which non-replaceable individuals can secure their fragile identities reciprocal fashion only as members of community. Morality is aimed at personal integrity implicit in linguistic interactions, which is more deep-seated about
vulnerability and our deep integrity. A wolf has a lot of integrity treated as a wolf. Explain to me why that means that it can't be recognized in society.
I don't understand your question. A wolf has integrity? The argument is that, yes, some things have integrity, but linguistic integrity is more deep-seated. Linguistic interaction is the qualification by which we determine whether or not a person's integrity is morally relevant. That's the argument Habermas is making. He is not denying that animals have some sort of worth or some sort of integrity. He is saying that they do, but the only way...
I got you. What's the distinction between a moral duty and justice? I have no idea what Habermas 2 is saying.
Habermas 2 is just saying that Because when we interact with animals, it's not linguistic. We don't have moral or justice.
Okay, so he's the offense at that point, right? You can't just extend one Habermas card on its own.
No, they're both. Habermas 2 just makes a different argument about why lack of linguistics.
Can I turn the NC?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I turn the NC?
There are a bunch of ways. Would you like me to explain every term that you can make?
No, obviously not.
Okay, if you answer my Huffman...
If I turn the one Habermas card, do I have to turn the other one?
No, if you turn, what do you mean? Like if you,
which one comes first?
It's not like they don't have like separate arguments, right? It's just separate reasons why the lack of linguistics is a reason to negate.
So if they have linguistics on the affirmative, so let's go to the affirmative.
No, it's not. Okay, but let's be clear.
I understand.
It's linguistics and social interaction.
Okay, we got to go to the affirmative case. So you put terms on the affirmative case. You agree that the affirmative burden is to merely show that no distinction exists, right?
What I put terms on the affirmative case, which would A, be a reason
so
why the AF would meet the neg burden, or B, a reason why you can't meet the AF burden.
Okay, if the AF burden is to show no distinction exists, explain to me how terms function.
My argument is that you couldn't show that no distinction exists via the veil of ignorance.
Okay, so you're saying, okay, that makes sense. So all the terms just explain, they're not terms, they're just takeouts of the veil of ignorance. So like, if we're just
now your burden structure is confusing me a little bit. I think they're terms in the sense that in debate, a turn is an offensive argument for you to win under the other person's framework. And that's what these are.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
They're reasons for me to win if I don't go for the NC.
I'm going to start this now.
Okay. Also, I have 1 of 5 books.
Yeah. What is like the different interest between a wolf and a fox that would like conflict? Now, a wolf and a wildebeest as to why they would conflict. Because Humphreys is just making a bunch of claims as to why they have different interests. Can you tell me a different interest so we can talk about that?
The NC would be a different interest. Any biological difference would be a different interest. The Murray and Ross evidence that I read on the AC would be a different interest.
My brown hair versus your red hair is a different interest and relevant to rights?
What? No. The distinct physiological differences between...
Okay, so why would that lead to some sort of conflict when we're talking about interests?
What, are you asking about the Humphreys evidence, or are you just asking generally? Which Humphreys evidence are you talking about?
Never mind, I'm good. You just cleared it up, thanks.
But if the biological interest is what's causing you problems, then I'll just say that I only will say the NC and the Murray and Ross evidence are different.
Where's the Ross?
I'm just trying to make sure I get offense.
Where's Ross and stuff?
You can show it. Yeah. Sorry, I realized that I forgot to jump that to you. I just read the 3-point, but the analysis was extempt.
Just perfect.
Okay.
So where do you ever warrant that all humans are included in the sense of rights?
What do you mean?
NC? Why can all humans interact?
First of all, Habermas says that they can. Second of all, I made that analysis on the AC. He
talks
talks about how animals don't have this in humans.
He is one of the most influential philosophers.
Yeah, that's my site for Habermas because I didn't think anyone would ask me who Habermas was, so I put something just for Greenhill.
Okay. No, is this it? Right.
Yeah, the warrant is that because they can't feel pain, they don't have these type of second-order desires to determine what they would or would not want to choose in the original position. So yeah, you're right, it is about pain.